What is up, everybody? Welcome to a Saturday early edition of MLB Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel here on RotoGrinders. With you a little bit earlier than we have been the last few Saturdays. The games are starting at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 1:05 to be exact, as opposed to the 4 o'clock lock times that we've had the last few weeks. So a split afternoon slate today. 4 games starting here in the next little bit, then 4 games starting at 4 o'clock Eastern. FanDuel has split that up into 2 different early slates. We'll focus on the first one for purposes of breaking it down on this show, and then DraftKings has combined the 1 o'clock, the 2 o'clock, the 4 o'clock games into one larger early slate with 8 games on it. So we'll go through this first FanDuel slate here to get you started. We can roll through some of the DraftKings, the full 8-game slate discussion, and then maybe touch on that 4 p.m. only slate on FanDuel too if we've got some time. But that gives us a lot to get through. I am Justin Van Zuden, aka STL Cardinals 84. We'll be hosting the show here for you this afternoon. I've got TJ Zwarich, aka the Spidey Bomb Man, alongside. TJ, what's going on today?
Doing pretty well. Excited for some early baseball on this fine Saturday. We got an interesting smaller slate. It's on FanDuel. There's still quite a few options for a 4-game slate. So looking forward to diving into this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the slate goes today. We've got some weird lineups coming out. We can talk about those. And we've got Keith Eister alongside as well. Resident Cubs fan. He can give me grief for one day because, once again, the Cardinals do not know how to hit Kyle Hendricks. I have no idea why this is a thing or how it's a thing, but I looked it up this morning. His last 18 starts against the Cardinals, Kyle Hendricks is 13-1 with a 1.98 ERA, and I have no idea. The Cardinals' approach against Hendricks has always been awful. I should have bet the Cubs last night. Once the Cubs got ahead 2-0, I knew it was over. And even the lowly 2022 Cubs, Kyle Hendricks can still beat the Cardinals. So Keith, welcome and congrats, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how much it means to us this season. It's not going to matter much in the grand scheme of things. I was huge on your Cardinals yesterday. I had home run bets on Gorman and Arenado.
You should know that they can't hit Kyle Hendricks.
But Kyle Hendricks was good at one point,
and
now he's not. So I don't know how he managed to navigate that lineup. Apparently so. But yes, your Cardinals cost me quite a bit of money yesterday, so they're in another good spot today. Hopefully they treat us better today.
Yeah, if they get shut out by Adrian Sampson, we've got some problems. So we'll see if the Cardinals can wake up the bats this afternoon, and they are part of this the first 4-game slate. The very early slate on FanDuel, which is just odd for a 1 p.m. slate. But I guess it's only 10 o'clock out west, so it can be very early out there. But anyway, we'll break down those 4 games first. Then we'll integrate kind of the additional games that are on the full 8-game slate on DK. So I mentioned the weird lineups. You look at the White Sox, their lineup is a little odd today. Tim Anderson's not in there. The Tampa Bay lineup is extremely rough today. TJ was commenting on that before the show. So you've got some guys missing from that lineup. So that might impact kind of how we view pitcher today. Whereas, these first 4 games, you've got Garrett Cole, you've got Miles Mikolas, you've got Kluber, you've got Lance Lynn, who's still discounted at 7,800 on FanDuel. You've got Christian Javier, who would normally be a solid option, except he has to face the Yankees, and perhaps even Brubaker against that weak Tampa Bay lineup. So, maybe 6 viable pitching options here. TJ, what are you thinking with these 6 arms on, and we can only roster one of them?
So the top option, I think, for me for sure is Garrett Cole, but there are some expensive bats I'm looking to pay up for, and we got some of these cheaper guys who I do think have some good upside today. Lance Lynn is probably my favorite option on the board. He's still underpriced against Baltimore. He showed a bit better of a showing last game than he did in his first one. Lance Lynn's probably my top option today. He's the guy I'm going to be going to. The one thing I'm struggling with is Brubaker's popping a little bit for me just because of this Tampa Bay lineup. They do have 7 lefties, and he's not very strong against lefties, but you brought up a great point that how is he against AAA lefties? It's probably a little bit easier than the major league ones that he's used to facing. So I do have some interest in JT Brubaker as well. But I think for me today it goes Lance Lynn number 1, Garrett Cole number 2, and Brubaker 3.
Yeah, that lineup for the Rays, I had some interest in Brubaker, and maybe a little more so now. I think it's more of a DraftKings play than, with just the one pitcher on Fanduel. I don't think you have to, though it certainly could give you some leverage in tournaments. But the basically the entire Tampa Bay lineup, there's really nobody that scares you in there. Walls is leading off today. Arozarena, I guess, hitting third is fine, but still not a lineup that, particularly at the bottom, inspires much fear into the opposing pitchers. So, Keith, how are you handling this set of pitchers here?
Yeah, very similar to TJ and you. Garrett Cole at the top, been in really good form here recently. Tough matchup against Houston, very low strikeout lineup, but Cole can dominate any lineup, so I don't mind paying up for him. Agree, Lance Lynn is a great option in the mid-range, a little bit underpriced for his talent. Great matchup there against Baltimore. I'm out on Javier as well, just a tough Yankees lineup, tough ballpark to pitch in. He's a fly ball pitcher too, which probably means he's going to give up at least a home run or two. Michael is just not seeing the upside there at that price tag. Kluber, I think, is a little bit interesting. Obviously, significantly more expensive than Lance Lynn. But Lynn, kind of just working his way back into his normal form. Maybe he has a bit of a down start, and Kluber is the guy that ends up working out. He's got a great matchup there against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has kind of been popular here recently with them calling up some prospects. They've had some really good hitting weather. But this ballpark in Tampa Bay is a really tough park, and Kluber, I think, can have some success as well.
Yeah, interesting pivot away from Lynn there. Obviously, Lynn is the popular play given that price, and he did get it back to 99 pitches, I believe, in his last outing, so shouldn't be facing any limitations as far as a pitch count goes, but it is just his third start, so you can certainly see that there's a potential for some rust there. I'll stick with you, Keith. The offenses on this 4-game slate, so much ownership. It's basically just going to be the White Sox and the Cardinals for offense, right?
Yeah, both in really good spots. Just because they're facing two really bad starting pitchers. Spencer Watkins going for Baltimore, just no strikeout ability whatsoever. Mentioned a little bit of a watered down White Sox lineup, but this matchup against Watkins, they're 1A for me, and then the Cardinals would definitely be 1B. Adrian Sampson, kind of a similar story. Just not many skills. Good hitting weather in St. Louis today. It's hot and humid. They're very clearly the top two. Let's see. The other ones I have on my list we'll save for DraftKings. I do have a little bit of interest in the Yankees against Javier. Just a really powerful lineup. I mentioned his fly ball tendencies. I think that you can at least chase some power bats for the Yankees here against Javier. Let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not crossing over.
And you can, I think, while we go position by position here, I think we can start integrating some of that DraftKings in just for people that are playing that slate. And then obviously, based on whatever FanDuel slate you're playing, you can split it up between the early and the later games. But some people might want to know. So if you want to throw some offenses in from those later afternoon games, that's fine as well.
Yeah. So the 4-gamer on FanDuel, like the White Sox and Cardinals, are very clearly ahead of the pack. On DK, I do like the Royals a good amount against an extremely low strikeout lefty. The Brewers are interesting against Kikuchi. I'll probably play a little bit of both sides of that, but I prefer the Brewers bats in that game. And then the Mets against Trevor Rogers are interesting. Rogers just has not been in the same form as he was in his rookie season. Mets have been a strong offense all season. And the Rangers lefties, particularly against Josiah Gray, Corey Seager, one of my favorite bats on the slate. Cole Calhoun, a little bit underpriced, but really like the way the Rangers lefties set up against Josiah Gray, who has really struggled with hard contact to lefties.
All right, TJ, what do you like for offenses to stack up here today?
No notes. 1A and 1B at St. Louis and Chicago White Sox on Fanduel, and then my next favorite is the Yankees. Those are the three teams I'm going to be playing over there. I don't hate the idea of playing some of these really cheap Tampa Bay lefties if you need some salary, you're playing Garrett Cole, something like that. But those are the four main teams I'm targeting on Fanduel and on DraftKings. Similar boat. I like. I'm kind of building up a lineup right now, and it's looking like it's going to be a St. Louis and Texas stack. Those are going to be the two ways I'm going about it. We got Mitch Garver at 2,800 at catcher over there. He's super cheap, and so he mixes in well with the Cole Calhouns and the Corey Seagers. So yeah, no notes. He crushed it there.
All right, let's go ahead and we'll go position by position as we usually do. Just a quick thought for those that are playing the DraftKings slate. Some might ask whether Cole is a better option than Corbin Burns. If you've got a preference between those guys on DraftKings, you can add maybe Chris Bassett into that DraftKings mix as well from the later games. Those are the two pitchers that will carry some ownership from the later afternoon games. Keith, you got a take on Cole versus Burns?
Very similar matchups for both of them. Toronto, a really tough offense as well. I don't have a strong lean on it. It's Cole slightly for me. I know there was some talk about pitchers pitching up to the spot and all of that on shows yesterday. Cole, former Astro, obviously a little bit of a revenge game for him. Like Burns has been really back in his elite form here recently too. He struggled for a little bit, but he's looked a lot better over his last 2 or 3 starts. But Cole, I feel like just a little bit more safety for me. Burns has been off kind of part of this year. So it's a slight lean to Cole, but it's not a strongly convicted take.
Yeah, it's kind of where I land as well. Revenge narrative for the tiebreaker. We'll go from there. So, all right, let's go ahead and start going position by position here. I flipped the screen share over to DraftKings for now, just so we have all the games included. TJ, I'll start with you. If you've got a strong lean on the Cole versus Burns thing, you can touch on that. Otherwise, I'll let you talk about catchers.
Perfect. Yeah. So catcher Mitch Garver is probably going to be my favorite option there. On FanDuel, I don't have a lot. I don't think I'm going to be playing many of them. Like, you can always play Wilson Contreras if you really want to get different in a stack and include a Jose Trevino in your Yankee stack. Sure, but it's not going to be for me today. And then on DraftKings, it's Garver 1 and probably Melendez or Trevino number 2. Regarding the Cole and Burns, I actually lean Burns a little bit on DraftKings. He's my slight lean there. Toronto strikes out more than Houston does, and I think that's the spot I'd want to go to. But they're both great spots. Like they're both in fantastic spots. So catcher, not many I'd want to play outside of Garver, and on FanDuel, you don't have to play any.
All right, a couple people have mentioned in our YouTube chat asking about the rain in the White Sox game. That game should be fine. Stray rain shower maybe this morning, kind of rolling through, but should be fine for that game to play. So if you're worried about the weather with the White Sox game, that should not be too much of an issue. Alan is asking about Keller as an SP2 on DraftKings. I mean, his strikeout prop's only 3.5. I know Oakland's lineup is terrible. Basically, that's going to come down to batted ball luck. And he doesn't have a ton of upside. So if you absolutely need the salary savings, I suppose it's fine, but he doesn't give you too much upside for GPPs. So Shannon mentioned that the White Sox game has been delayed. Again, delayed start. They should be able to, once that rain ends up moving out of Chicago, which I'm going to look at the minute forecast here.
Also, got to say, we got over 100 people watching right now. As soon as we hit that 50 likes.
Yeah, hit that, smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube. Get some home run calls here before we get off the show. So it looks like it might rain for a couple hours in Chicago. I mean, that game starts at, let's see. So that game does not start for an hour and 20 minutes, and it's supposed to rain for maybe about another 2 hours. So delayed start, maybe it's an hour late getting started, but the rain chances drop to about 25% 15-20% after that. So according to Kevin Roth, we should be good to go after a late start. Keep an eye on it. All right, Keith, any thoughts at catcher for you?
Agree with TJ. Garver is the top option. Not particularly close. I do like Wilson Contreras, not stacking Cubs against Michaelis, just a great control guy, a lot of ground balls. But Contreras is just, I will play that talent level as a one-off. Sean Murphy against Keller that we just mentioned, one of the better Oakland hitters. It's pretty ugly after that. Not a lot to like. You can always play Kirk, but he's in a really tough matchup against Burns. Caratini against Kikuchi, maybe. Just not a very talented hitter, but Kikuchi struggles with hard contact at times. So, I mean, it's an ugly position.
The Toronto lineup is not out yet, but Kirk left last night's game early. He did have X-rays and they were negative, so it's possible that he could play today. But make sure if you're planning to use him that you double check out their lineup. I agree. I think just take the savings with Garver here, hitting fifth at 2,800 and move along.
Means we could get some cheap Moreno in there.
Possibly
That'd be interesting.
Possibly some cheap C2K on DraftKings.
I had to switch DraftKings to my phone because the location isn't working on my computer right now.
Let's see.
And so I couldn't actually pull it up. So yeah, very, very cheap. He'd be a very good pivot off of Garver if he's in the lineup.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for that. And let's move to first base. Keith, what are you looking at there?
All right, so we'll just start with a couple of Fanduel guys. We love the Cardinals in the spot they're in. Goldschmidt's been incredible this season. Jose Abreu on one of our other favorite teams. He's just a little bit underpriced. Phenomenal spot for him. Mentioned some of those Yankees bats. Rizzo is in a good spot here. Love that short porch for him and right. Think he can get one today. G-Man Choi, another one of those Rays lefties that TJ touched on. I think he would be a top option if I was looking there. Then let's go over to DraftKings here. Get a couple of guys that aren't available on the FanDuel slate. Pete Alonso is one of those Mets that I absolutely love. Trevor Rogers, he's got the platoon advantage there. Obviously, huge power. Rogers hasn't been right this season. I do like Josh Bell as well against the Texas bullpen game.
All right, TJ, your thoughts on first base?
Yeah, Goldschmidt's my number one option. Anthony Rizzo, I don't mind right underneath him. Jose Abreu for a little bit cheaper. If you got to go all the way down cheap, the guy I like is probably Gavin Sheets in that Chicago stack. But Paul Goldschmidt by quite a bit is my favorite option.
Yeah, I was looking through the MVP odds yesterday, and he was down to plus 180 for NL MVP, which is crazy, but certainly deserves it based on the way he has played so far this year, particularly over the last month and a half. He's been on fire. So, like those calls, I'm in on the White Sox as well. I mean, Spencer Watkins has more walks than strikeouts this year. He also has reverse splits. So you look at that righty-heavy Chicago lineup, it actually plays pretty well. And I know the White Sox have been disappointing. They've probably lost some people some money over the last few weeks. If they can't get it done today against Spencer Watkins, it's real problem time for Chicago. So hopefully they can get the ship going in the right direction today. All right, TJ, I will stick with you, and we can move on to second base.
Yeah, so this is a Cardinals position for me today. I kind of rank them Gorman 1, Donovan 2, because you can play him somewhere else. And then on FanDuel, Tommy Edman 3. He's the guy I like the least just because he's priced up so much more than the other two. Gleyber Torres is another guy that I'm getting to a little bit. On FanDuel, we got Jose Altuve is still way too underpriced. And so he's definitely in play as well. You also got some cheap guys here that you can play. You got Taylor Walls leading off. You can play him at second, short, or third. On FanDuel, you got Michael Chavis hitting third. Kluber is a bit of a reverse splits pitcher. There are cheap options you can punt with, but my favorite options are the Cardinals.
Yeah, on DraftKings, Sosa leading off for the White Sox is the minimum 2K, so he's going to get some ownership there. And there's actually, a few different ways you can go at the position. So, Keith, your thoughts at second base?
Agree. The Cardinals are my first looks. Gorman has just been awesome. Looks like a super talented young guy. Not great what I've seen from him as a Cubs fan going forward. He looks like he's going to be a fixture in that Cardinals lineup for a long time. Love the power there. Sosa to save some money is fine leading off. I think if you're looking for a pivot, maybe Jonah Bride in Oakland is also minimum price. Should it be hitting near the top of the lineup? He has the last couple of days anyway. Let's see here. Agree with the Gleyber Torres call. Brujan is a cheap Tampa bat that I don't mind, but yeah, it's Cardinals first for sure here at second.
Yeah, lots of multi-position eligibility for some of their guys, so they end up with like 3 guys eligible at second base, and depending on site, you could have Edman, Gorman, Donovan. I mean, there's a lot of different Cardinals that are available for some of those infield positions. So if you are following along, if you want to ask us some questions, we'll take those towards the end of the show. We will prioritize any questions that come in from the MLB Crunch Time Discord on RotoGrinders. So you can access that, rotogrinders.com/Discord if you are a premium subscriber. And then you can get in the MLB Crunch Time chat, and we will make sure we get through your questions. Also, if you're in a legal sports betting state, don't forget to sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook. You can get, if you're a new user, $1,000 risk-free bet, assuming terms and conditions that apply there. And you get that back if you don't win that risk-free bet. You get that back right away as a bonus, as opposed to some playthrough requirements. So check out FanDuel Sportsbook. And check out our RotoGrinders Premium. Get inside the Discord and ask your questions in the MLB Crunch Time chat if you have them. All right, let's move along to third base now. And Keith, I will keep it over there with you.
Same story here. It's Cardinals and White Sox. Arenado, the top option for me. Berger, if you need to save a little bit of money from the White Sox. Josh Donaldson is really cheap on FanDuel. Love him as a one-off or as kind of a secondary Yankee stack. On DK, you have Josh Smith near minimum price. He's one of those Texas lefties that I'll be looking to quite a bit. Bride is also eligible at third on DK. I do like Escobar and his price for the Mets. Mentioned wanting to pick on Rodgers a little bit, so don't mind going to some Escobar. He's been good against lefties this season.
Yeah, he's one of the only Mets that has solid numbers against left-handed pitching. They've generally struggled a bit against lefties. Obviously, they're elite, talented offense, but Lindor, Alonso, Marte, some of those guys don't have as good of numbers as you would expect against lefties this year. So, TJ, your thoughts on third base?
Yeah, simple. I feel like we're Keith and I are going to win a lot of money today together, or we're going to lose a lot together because same boat. Arenado and Berger are my 2 favorites there, and I like the same DK call also. And 15 likes away from the Spidey Bomb. We got free content courtesy of FanDuel. If you want the free content early in the morning, help us beat the YouTube algorithm and hit the like button, because that's the only way it can keep being free. FanDuel's not going to want to do it if people aren't hitting the like button and it's not showing up on this main page. So make sure you hit the like button for the free content. And third base, it's the same for me. Like, there's the cheapies like Taylor Walls you can play there as well on FanDuel, but like it's really Jake Berger or Nolan Arenado for me, or Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, YouTube algorithm's working okay. I went to the YouTube homepage, and the FanDuel Crunch Time was in, at the top of my recommended list there. So I always laugh if my own show that I'm currently airing is not showing up in my recommended videos on YouTube. So the algorithm's working this morning. Hit that like button and help us keep beating that algorithm there, as TJ mentioned. So TJ, I can keep it with you, and we'll roll on over to shortstop.
Yeah, so we got the young phenom O'Neal Cruz batting leadoff. He's very interesting. Sosa's minimum price, like we talked about, he's batting leadoff as well. Walls, you can play at first. He's also leading off. Donovan is probably my top option, but I don't mind getting to either of those other three that I mentioned as well.
Yeah, Donovan has cooled off. He was rock solid through kind of his first month there in the big leagues, one of those Cardinal revelations that nobody expected anything from. And I think at least as of last week, he led the league in pitches per at bat. So he's cooled off a bit. Obviously, that was to be expected. He wasn't going to hit 330 or whatever for the whole season. So his plate approach has been pretty refreshing in today's MLB. Not trying to go yard every time and taking pitches and fouling off pitches. And it's just interesting to see basically a early 2000s type of ball player playing in this era. So nice to see him have some success. Hopefully that he can get back on track, and maybe that'll be the case today. Bobby Witt, another option on DraftKings with the later games. He is 5,100, but if you look at Koenig for the A's, Koenig actually pitched last weekend against the Royals and pitched 5 2/3 shutout innings with 0 strikeouts. It was the most Houdini-esque performance that you'll see. They had base runners all over the place and 0 Ks in 5 2/3 innings and no runs. So that's what you get when a bad pitcher faces a bad offense. It's simply going to come down to batted ball luck. And if you look at the implied team totals on our lineup HQ page, the Royals are actually the highest. It's close, but they're at 5.38, Cardinals at 5.27, White Sox at 5.3. So all of them right there, but we never think of the Royals as an elite offense, and they're not. But facing a bad pitcher who didn't strike any of them out last weekend, maybe they'll have a little better luck with those batted balls today. So I don't mind the Royals as a stack as well on DraftKings where you get those later games. Keith, your thoughts at shortstop?
Yeah, Fanduel agreed that Donovan is the top option. If you're not looking at him, you can definitely save some money. Walls and Sosa, both leading off, are the two I'd look to. Agree with your Witt call. He is in a great spot, but I'm going to struggle to get to him because Corey Seager is probably my favorite play on the slate. Just love the way he sets up against Josiah Gray. But both phenomenal options in that 5K range on DK. Walls is also cheap on DK and Sosa as well. So kind of the same guys. If you're not spending up on one of those two big guys, you can go all the way down near the bottom and save some money.
All right, we'll go through outfield, and then we will roll through the questions. We've got about 7 minutes left until our roster lock. So get your questions in the MLB Crunch Time Discord on RotoGrinders right now, and we will go through those in just a second. So, Keith, I will let you take us through outfield.
All right. Starts with the White Sox for me here. Luis Robert, my top option. Like Andrew Vaughn as well. You mentioned the reverse splits of Watkins. Vaughn's had a really good year. He's hitting in the 2-hole today, so I do like him a good amount. Both of the Yankees' power bats are certainly in play, Judge and Stanton. Astros, too, for that matter. Cole can give up some fly balls and some home runs. Alvarez and Tucker have plenty of power to get that done. Dylan Carlson is a cheap option in the outfield for the Cardinals, along with Harrison Bader. And Yepez as well. All three of the Cardinals outfielders are really cheap. If you're also looking to save some money, Arozarena for the Rays is a decent cheap option.
Yeah, really cheap still on FanDuel. Let's see. He's up to 5,100 on DraftKings, so probably don't need to play him there, but his FanDuel price has been really affordable all year. TJ, your thoughts on the outfield?
Yeah, so the outfield today has a lot of really, really tough choices, but the hardest choices require the strongest wills. We're 5 likes away from the like button, from the Spidey Bomb. Smash the like button, and we'll make you an offer you can't refuse. We're giving you Spidey Bombs. We're giving you free content, free home run plays. But yeah, get an outfield. The last position part of the journey is the end. I like Luis Robert and Aaron Judge up top. Andrew Vaughn's a great option as well. Randy Arozarena on FanDuel is way too cheap. And Gavin Sheets, you can play him here as well in the outfield. And it's really just Yankees and White Sox and Cardinals guys for me. You can always play Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker as as one-offs, but that's about it. We got Dean watching right now, and he's firing me messages telling me to drop movie quotes in randomly during my monologue. So that's what all those things are in there. And are you not entertained, Dean? I hit everything on your list but number one.
There you go. That means mission accomplished for the afternoon, I think. All right, so we will take the questions now. We got a few of them rolling in and 5 minutes left. So JMVP with the usual one stack to win it all, single entry on DraftKings. So Keith, Cardinals, White Sox, Royals, somebody else. Who's your favorite stack on DraftKings single entry?
So my favorite spot is the Texas lefties, but I don't know
That's fine.
That they're a full spot. Like they're going to be more of a secondary stack for me. They won't be my full stack, but that is my favorite spot of the slate. So full stack, I'll go White Sox. Pretty chalky there, but differentiate with those Texas lefties a little bit and at pitching, and you should have enough differentiation there.
All right.
We have enough likes for the Spidey bomb.
All right, go for it.
Spidey's been whispering it in my ear, and I wasn't the first one to mention him on the show, which surprised me today because he's batting all the way down in 7th, but Spidey likes him anyways. Jake Berger is going to hit a home run today.
All right, Jake Berger's the home run call. He's hungry. Spidey's hungry. Everybody wants a cheeseburger.
Spidey's breaking things.
Yeah, Spidey just knocked over all my lightsabers.
Can't never trust those superheroes. All right. Beaner says you guys don't like the Pirates. A very general question, but fair one. I mean, they're the Pirates. O'Neal Cruz is going to be great. The rest of the lineup, yeah, they've called up some guys. Sawinski had that 3-homer game, but against Kluber, I mean, Kluber rarely gets blown up. He's not super exciting. The Rays in general don't usually get blown up. I don't think this is the spot for the Pirates in terms of upside for their whole offense.
I like them a lot more as a mini stack than a full stack.
A couple guys, that's fine. Let's see. D-Dot, FanDuel single entry, Keith, Gorman, or Altuve?
Gorman for me.
All right. TJ, BHB, DK Cash, Mullins, or Whit Merrifield?
I like Mullins there, actually.
All right. Go Blue asking not much for below 7K for SP2 on DraftKings. There's a lot of people getting desperate wanting to play Brad Keller. Again, his strikeout prop is 3.5. He's facing the A's. I mean, Keith, any interest in Keller if you need a punt?
He is the guy. If you need to go down there, I did actually write up his strikeout prop today. I think 3.5 is a strikeout too low. He just faced this Oakland team, which is not ideal. But he did have six strikeouts and lasted through 7 innings in that. I mean, I don't know that you get quite that good of a start out of him, but he's fairly safe. I think he's definitely the best option if you need to go down there.
For me personally, I'd rather not go down there to Keller, and I'd rather bump down your SP1 instead of playing Corbin Burns or Garrett Cole with Brad Keller. I would rather play Chris Bassett with Lance Woodwin or JT Brubaker. That's kind of the way I'm looking at pitching on DraftKings today.
Or get this, they're so cheap. I mean, Keller isn't very good, and Oakland's bats are so cheap. You can stack Oakland, and then you can play Cole and Burns together with all those bare minimum salary Oakland bats. So it's interesting because there's just a lot of different ways you can approach those lineup builds today. If you're going spend up on the bats with like the Cardinals, or you can get some cheap bats and how you allocate your pitching exposures proportionally. I certainly wouldn't stack Oakland. Like you got to be doing a lot of multi-entry today, but just giving an example of some lineups, if Cole and Burns both dominate against tougher offenses, you're not going to see a lot of lineups with those two guys together. So that could be somewhat of a unique GPP build. All right. Mom, Dad asking Brubaker or Kluber. TJ, I think you like Brubaker there.
Yeah.
Go Blue also mentioning that he potentially has a swap to Bassett and Lynn. I think that's fine as well if you're not comfortable with Keller. All right. Keith, this is a follow-up from JMVP. He is stacking the White Sox, so his 2v2 is Robert and Merrifield or Judge and Lennon Sosa.
I think you want Robert in your White Sox stack.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, with that, we've gotten through all the questions in the MLB Crunch Time Discord. I do not see any lineup any lineup changes or scratches. Let's see. No changes there. Nothing additional in the YouTube chat. Keith, you got a home run call that you like today?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to go back to Nolan Gorman. I said I bet him yesterday. He was 0 for 4, I believe, struck out a couple of times, but another great
everybody
spot.
else because it was Hendricks.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to Gorman.
All right, we're at lock now. So any last minute questions, get them in. But I've mentioned on shows in the past, our oldest he's about to be 12, and so he's getting into the Cardinals quite a bit. And before the game last night, he's like, "Well, Hendricks is terrible." I go, "It doesn't matter. Cardinals can't hit this guy. They never have." And he's like, "Well, that was 2 years ago or whatever when Hendricks was an all-star." And I said, "It doesn't matter. They can't hit Hendricks." And I don't know, he was outside doing something or whatever, and came in about 6 innings later, and I said, "See, we don't have any runs against Hendricks." And so old man dad wins the battle for the day on the old BVP wins out, I guess. But we'll see. Someday, maybe it might take till beer league softball when he's 60, but someday somebody from the Cardinals will hit Kyle Hendricks. And yeah, I don't mind the Gorman call today. Kid's got a ton of pop. Hopefully that Cardinals offense breaks out a little bit against Sampson. All right, BHB throwing in a last-minute DK Cash question as White Sox game hasn't locked yet, so this question should be good. TJ, Berger and Mullins or Arenado and Carlson?
Arenado and Carlson.
All right, Cardinals it is.
I like Berger to hit a home run, but like Cash projection-wise, like that's absolutely the St. Louis one.
I would agree. Yep. All right, with that, I think we are through the early lock, and with that, we'll go ahead and get on out of here. So thanks to our producer, Steve, for helping us out behind the scenes on the weekend. Thanks to Keith. Thanks to TJ for joining me. I will be back later with Britt pulling double duty today. So Britt and I will be on the crunch time for the late
Britt
night
asked
lock.
me to step in, so I think it's going to be me with you.
Oh, Keith's pulling double duty for the second straight Saturday. So, all right, possibly Keith and I back with you for the late slate. Whoever it is, somebody will be with me, and we'll catch you around, let's see, what would that be? 6:40-ish Eastern time, 5:40 Central time for that late slate lock. We've got 6 games on the night slate tonight. And
damn, it's just the two of you. I might as well just come back.
There you go. We can just we can run it back.
Yep.
Run it back at 6:40 for the night slate, and we'll recap. We'll surely recap the Cardinals failing against Adrian Sampson and the White Sox failing against Spencer Watkins. And if that happens, it'll just be a blow up day of an early slate for everyone's lineups. But hopefully the projections win out today. That's the beauty of baseball. You just never know. So for TJ and Keith, I'm Justin. Enjoy your Saturday afternoon, everybody, and we will catch you later.